Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review. It's our post-press conference live reaction, and what a press conference it has been at the Rangers Training Centre this lunchtime. Michael Beale and Ryan Jack put up for the press. Just prior to that press conference, there was an announcement from the club that 5 players will depart at the end of the season, namely Alan McGregor, Scott Arfield, Philip Helander, Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos. Euan Robertson was at said press conference for us. Euan, first of all, your reaction to those departures, and what did Michael Beale have to say on them all?
Yeah, we discussed it this morning in the morning briefing, Derek. I suppose the only real one that can be classified as a surprise is perhaps Scott Arfield. Some people maybe thought that he'd get an extra year. He's obviously well respected. He's a very popular figure around the place. Michael Beale said as much in his press conference. We just put out a video on our Twitter feed that anyone can go and watch. And it's basically Michael Beale saying that it pulled at his heartstrings, Scott Arfield, to allow him to leave. So it was really kind of strong words from Michael Beale on Scott. Like I said, it's on the Twitter page at the moment. So you can tell the affection that Scott Arfield is held in the corridors of Ibrox and at Auchenhowie here. So I think in terms of surprises, that might be the only one. The other thing as well that Michael said in his press conference was that Stephen Davis will obviously continue his rehab at the club, and then it'll be down to Stephen to decide whether he continues playing or not. So I don't know if that's really came out yet from the press conference, but obviously Rangers released a statement earlier mentioned that Davis will continue his rehab at the club, but it will then be down to Stephen whether he continues to play next season. So that's one to keep an eye on. In terms of other ones, I think we all expected McGregor, Helander, Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos to go. Beale spoke positively about the impact they've all had at the club. So yeah, it was a very busy press conference today there.
Yeah, I think that's a nice touch from Rangers towards Stephen Davis. It will be interesting to see. First of all, we wish him the very best, and hopefully he gets back to fitness, and it'll be intriguing to see what his future will look like after that. Interestingly said on Kent and Morelos that since he came back to the club, no contract was ever issued to both players. Seen a few comments on social media. I don't think either really deserves a new contract, in all honesty. But I thought that was quite telling, Euan, when the manager was speaking about that.
Yeah, it was very telling. So obviously no official contract offer was made, is what Michael Beale was saying. However, there was discussions between Beale and Kent and their respective agencies and Beale, and presumably Ross Wilson when he was still at the club. So we don't know what happened, the details of those conversations, whether it was intimated that the players didn't want to stay or the club didn't want him to stay. But Beale said there was no contract offer made to either player. So it puts it into perspective. I see a lot of fans as well saying in the comments and under the video we put up on social media that they didn't deserve deals, and people are perfectly entitled to feel that way. But I mean, in terms of Ryan Kent especially, there will be a bit of a sore feeling probably just due to the fact that the price tag that was paid to bring him to the club, and he's going to leave for nothing. Alfredo Morelos has been a great value for money signing, hasn't he? He's £1 million. He came into the club, I think 124 goals. All-time European top goal scorer. So, it's probably less regret on Morelos' side in terms of leaving the club because, you only paid £1 million for him, whereas in Kent was $7 million. But Beale said no contract offer was made to either player. So that's very telling, as you say there.
Yeah, the Arfield one it was a tough one. I thought he would have been kept on for another season, but it's clear that, of course, Scott would rather play more football than what he's doing. I don't think the manager can guarantee him that with what he's looking to do next season. In terms of those players, the 5 that are departing the club, Euan, did the manager give a fitness update? Are they all going to be able? Well, Phil Helander, we know, won't be able to play any part in the game tomorrow, but he will be able to say cheerio. But what was it, that the sort of injury update in the fitness report? Who's going to make it tomorrow?
So as far as he said, Morelos is back in training today. So the chance that Alfredo Morelos does feature tomorrow and get that goodbye, whether it be off the bench or from the start, you'd imagine that Scott Arfield will start tomorrow night. I think that'll be the case, just given he's leaving, the affection that he's held in at Rangers, and Michael Beale and McGregor as well. He could start. He's fit. He was on the bench at the weekend. The one that Michael Beale didn't mention when he was giving a fitness update was Ryan Kent. So whether Kent is fit or not, it remains to be seen. So it could be the case that Ryan Kent's played his last game in a Rangers jersey. He wasn't mentioned when Beale talked about the players back in training. Now, of course, that could be an oversight for Michael Beale. When you're listing 8 players that are back in training, it's quite easy to maybe miss one out when you're on the spot. So you need to wait and see on Ryan Kent, but he wasn't mentioned. So it's one to watch out for. Just generally in terms of team news for the game tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of players who are back in training. They like Barisic, Matondo, Kamara. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think Scott Wright was another one who's back in training. So it's going to be quite a lot of players coming into the squad tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see if Kent makes it. Is probably the biggest question mark tomorrow night.
Yeah, the manager teased that there will be possibly a new signing announcement on Wednesday. Was he pushed on that at all today, Euan?
Yeah, it was mentioned, and Michael Beale sort of kind of sidestepped it there. He said that he expects signings kind of wrapped up in the coming days and weeks. He didn't specifically mention the player tomorrow night in the broadcast section of the media. I'd keep your eyes peeled for 10:30 for the written embargoes. There might be some stuff out in that in terms of both the signings and other positions. I can't obviously say too much about that at the moment, but there was nothing specifically said about tomorrow night's player. He kind of dodged that one.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of how the pressers work, folks, there is a broadcast section with the manager and the player, and then there's the embargoed daily section for the newspapers for the following day. So, keep your eyes peeled later on this evening for any further developments ahead of the game tomorrow. Ryan Jack was also put up for the press fresh from signing that 1-year contract. Euan, what was the big talking points that he said today?
Well, naturally, he was asked about the players leaving, and he spoke really highly about all of them as a collective, not so much individually, but he spoke about them and what they've gave to Rangers Football Club over the time they've been here. Also about his new contract, of course. He said it was something that's been in the background for a while, which I think everybody knew, because Michael Beale obviously said that he wanted Ryan to stay at the club. He's been happy with how the midfield looked in recent weeks. We talked about that earlier. Derek as well. The midfield balance has been quite good with Raskin and Lundstrom, and then maybe Todd Cantwell playing a little bit higher. He was asked about both Raskin and Cantwell coming into the midfield, and he spoke effusively about both players and what they've offered, and ahead of what he believes will be an exciting summer at the club because there is so much change. There's also a special mention to John Souttar, asking about Souttar's recovery. Obviously, Ryan Jack's had to contend with injuries over his career, and he spoke very highly about John Souttar's ability, labelling him outstanding and the standout player in the win over him at the weekend. So, Ryan Jack spoke really, really well. So it was good to hear from Jacko.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Right, Euan, we'll let you go, but the main talking points, folks, are the 5 departures at the end of the season. Ryan Kent, Alfredo Morelos, Alan McGregor, Scott Arfield, and Philip Hollander will be moving on. And just before you go, did they sort of discuss players that are entering the final year of their deals at all, or what their futures might look like?
No, but I should mention that Mallet Tillman was brought up.
Yes.
So let's go with that one.
Literally,
with Michael Beale, it can often be the case that so much is said it's difficult to remember exactly what it all was, and I'm only just out there 5 minutes ago. So so Mallet Tillman, there'll be a conversation scheduled with Bayern Munich over the weekend or early next week about his future. Michael Beale spoke about seeing him on Sunday night at the Player of the Year Awards. There's also been a little bit of rumour. I've seen it on social media that he's might perhaps signed a deal, but Beale certainly didn't disclose that in his media. So I think that's one to certainly keep an eye on over the coming days. I expect that next week will be a bit of movement on Mallet Tillman, maybe confirmation either way if he's going to stay a Rangers player or if his passers lie back at Bayern or elsewhere.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Was he asked at all about Jose Cifuentes at all, about developments on that front, Euan?
No, he wasn't asked about Cifuentes today, which maybe that's narrow on my part for not asking that. But he certainly wasn't. I mean, he kind of spoke about Cifuentes a little bit last week.
Yeah,
I think LAFC have a big game coming up, don't they?
Yeah.
I think the state of play with Cifuentes is that he's obviously out of contract in December. That's no secret. He's free to sign a key contract at the end of July. So that's the kind of timescales for that. Obviously, if Rangers want to bring him in this summer, which has obviously been widely reported, that they'll need to pay a fee to probably get him out of his contract in the summer. But again, Derek, as you well know, I know you've got your interview. You've had your interviews with people who are well and know about this. That's one I'd certainly be keeping an eye on over the coming days and the weeks.
Yeah, there's a video coming out later on, folks. 6 p.m. I had a chat with an LAFC podcaster. Very interesting insight into Jose. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Big thanks to Euan, who was at the press conference for us. If you like to read what happened at the press conference, the transcriptions will be up on the website shortly, folks. So make sure you log on to the site and have a look. There are also the videos on their YouTube channel as well, if you want to see what Michael Beale and Ryan Jack had to say ahead of that game tomorrow night. But thanks to everyone, as always, for interacting with the show. We'll be back again tomorrow. I'll be on the morning briefing tomorrow with Stevie Clifford, so we hope you can join us for that. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.